This is the EverDesk Plus, and this is the ERGOTUNE. This is a sit-stand desk from a Singapore company called EverDesk, and this is a ergonomic adjustable chair from a Singapore company called ERGOTUNE. I think they're both from the same company or they're sister companies, but both of them sent me a review unit for me to check out, and this is what I think after a month of very extensive usage. So EverDesk sent me a desktop and a chair because, well, they released a new product and they want people to check it out, me included. So they did send it to me and I do get to keep it, so that's just all the disclaimers out there. This is the EverDesk Supreme Plus, and this right here is the ERGOTUNE Supreme chair. I'm gonna put the actual official name on the screen because for some reason I cannot remember the names right now. But you get the idea. These are ERGOTUNE and EverDesk chair, and they are kind of the same company and they kind of work together. So they sent me review units so I can basically test it out. And I've been using this exclusively as my editing video desk setup for basically the last month or so, and I think I've used it enough to give you conclusions about these tables so you can decide whether you should buy them or not. Let's start off with the design and the general build quality of the desk. Let's start off with the desk first. The EverDesk I actually really do enjoy. It's built pretty well, it's very stable in my usage so far, even with all this heavy tech setup on there, which is excellent, and I really like the fact that it's sit and stand. Now, I didn't think I would use the stand feature as much as I did, but I did. Like, I used a lot of the stand. A lot of the time I video edit while standing up. It somehow helps me just edit and think better, and it does make me feel a lot more comfortable with myself after editing. Like, I don't feel as tired because I've just been standing up, so the blood flow is better. Maybe it's a placebo effect, but I did enjoy being able to have the flexibility to sit and stand and all those different things. But what I think is a bigger pull of a sit-stand desk like the EverDesk is really the fact that, well, you can adjust the height to exactly how comfortable you want it to be. A big problem with my own setup in like my own bedroom, not in this editing room, is that the desk is fixed and the chair doesn't get high enough for me to really have my arms in a comfortable position. So having a sit-stand desk and a height adjustable chair allows me to really tinker it to exactly, you know, the comfort level that I want. So in certain situations, for example, I'm focusing on the top half of my screen, I can move the table low so that the top half of the screen is in my eyesight. So when I'm video editing, the top half of the screen is where I'm looking at. But if I'm, say, typing a script and I want my eyes to be in the middle of the screen where the words I'm typing will be, I can adjust it as such with the height adjust, and I think that is actually very good for ergonomics, very good for your posture, very good for comfort, so definitely a nice feature to have. On top of that, the EverDesk Plus has this thing called the Health Plus, and it essentially is the control module for the sit-stand desk. But what's most important, apart from its health-friendly features, which frankly I never used once, is that this health control, this height control, is a knob. I think it makes for a much more cleaner and intuitive adjustment of height than the buttons you often find on many other sit-stand desks like OmniDesk or IKEA desks, where it's buttons. And I feel like with buttons, it's more difficult to really tinker and fine-tune the height of your desk, and it also looks not as cool as the knob that you find on the EverDesk with the Health Plus control module. Now, this module has a bunch of other features as well, because EverDesk is saying sit-stand desks are for your health. So it does do that thing where you can activate it and ask it to remind you to stand up every 30 minutes or 1 hour. I don't like that because it just goes beep beep in the middle of my video recording, so I turn that off. But you can turn that on if you are someone who needs to remind yourself to sit and stand, which is totally respectable. I don't see myself using that feature, however, but it's a nice to have. For me, I think a lot of the features are not important. I think what's most important is that it allows me to control the height very precisely, and I'm definitely happy that it's a knob rather than buttons. You can also save 3 height presets, so you can have a standing preset, a sitting preset, and maybe a lying down preset, I don't know. But you can save 3 preset heights, and you can do it very easily with this module as well. So if you are worried about having to tinker and adjust the height to the exact number every single time, you don't have to worry about that. Although I don't use the presets because I like manually adjusting it, because sometimes you feel a bit tall, sometimes you feel a bit short. I don't know why, but you get what I mean. In terms of accessories that this desk comes with, EverDesk also sent me a bunch of the accessories because this desk has a whole ecosystem. Now, a big feature of the EverDesk setup and the table is that it has this kind of whole drain or channel here where you can route cables and mount things to, and it is pretty interesting to look at and pretty interesting of a system. So everything's kind of built around this real system, and what you can do to it is you can mount a monitor arm like I have here, with this monitor being mounted on EverDesk's own monitor arm, which they also sent to me. You can also mount these little shelves which can be used to store things, organize things, and increase the amount of surface area you have your desk. It can also be used to kind of hide cables a little bit better. You route cables through this all Oh, and you can also stick it in place and hold those cables in place with these felt stoppers that EverDesk does provide. EverDesk also sells a bunch of other stuff on their website that work alongside this cable very well, like their pegboard, which I have mounted but I have not started using. I really should start using it very, very soon, but it's nice to have a pegboard because you can mount tools on it, you can mount racks on it. It's very convenient for being organized, and being organized is important for getting work done. You can also get this mat, which I have on the floor here. So this is designed for standing, and it's basically a mat that has a slight angle to it, so it's more comfortable to stand on. It's kind of like wearing shoes, but the shoes are being worn by the floor. It kind of dissipates your weight a little bit better. It's not all on the ankles or the heels of your feet. It's more dissipated, and more of your weight is shifted to the balls of your feet, which make for a more comfortable, ergonomic, long-term standing thing. So that's the point of this mat. However, if there's one thing I don't like about this mat, is that this mat has this kind of a weird oily, very slippery coating on it initially, and I had to wipe it down with alcohol swabs before I got it to a level which I actually, like standing on it, because initially it was very slippery that it kind of triggered me a little bit. So there's that. But it's a nice standing mat that EverDesk also sells. Now this chair right here is the ERGOTUNE Supreme, but I really do like this chair as well. The material is good. Its build quality is pretty solid. It's not the most rigid thing on earth. It's no Herman Miller, but it's not Herman Miller in cost. Like, it's substantially cheaper. And it is very, very nice. So unlike your gaming chairs, which are leather, ergonomic chairs tend to be like these cloth mesh material, and I think in Singapore it just makes so much more sense to go with an ergonomic chair that has these cloth materials, because, well, when the aircon is blowing on me, the aircon can be felt by my back because, well, it allows air to pass through. It's soft, it's bouncy, it's very supportive, and I do like the lumbar support. It actually has lumbar support, unlike a lot of gaming chair out there. It's not an afterthought, it's integrated into the design, and it does pretty well. It also is pretty wide, so for people with wider shoulders, even wider than me, and it is definitely sufficient and definitely enough. So for the general chair design and material, it's very good as well. In terms of adjustments, it's also plentiful. You can adjust the bottom part of the chair to slide out or in if you so desire. You can adjust the height of the lumbar support to fit your back, make it more comfortable for you. You can adjust your neck support, your height. You can adjust it with height. You can tilt it, angle it, however you want, so it's more comfortable for your neck. You can even remove the neck support completely if you're the kind of person that does not like neck support, and that is perfectly fair. It also has armrests. Obviously, you can remove the armrests as with pretty much any chair. So if you don't like armrests, you can live without it. But these armrests are some of the best and most adjustable armrests I've used so far. You can have height adjust, of course, which is nice, but you can also swivel it in multiple ways. I think they say there's 7 or 8 different ways you can adjust the armrest, from really pointed inwards to pointed outwards, depending on what exactly you're doing. Now, they say there are specific uses for each adjustment, but frankly, I just say do whatever is most comfortable for you. What I found was very nice to do with this setup was I like to adjust the armrest to its tallest point, move the ERGOTUNE, the EverDesk, as low as possible, and then have my hands kind of hanging off the armrest and then typing on the keyboard. So it's like this. So instead of having my hands doing this and typing, which is very unergonomic, my hands will kind of hang at the perfect height and just type at the perfect angle, so it doesn't hurt my wrists at all. And I did find that very, very comfortable. That's just one of the things I did do. So I like the armrest, which is pretty good as well. You also have the adjustability to lean back. You can twist the knob on the left side to lock this lean back function if you don't want to lean back at all, like you don't want to ever lean back by accident, which is perfectly fair. But if you like leaning back in your chair occasionally, well, you can unlock it on the left side and then twist the knob on the right side to basically adjust the resistance of the lean back. So the amount of force you need to apply before you start leaning back. And I basically have it at its lowest because I like lounging in my chair in between 5-minute bursts of typing scripts. However, I do have a few criticisms about the whole thing. It's generally quite positive, my sentiments towards the desk and the chair, but I do have some criticisms. And yes, EverDesk did send it to me, but I'm here to help you and be as honest as possible. There are a few things I don't like about it. Number one, the monitor arm that EverDesk sent, well, they say it supports 32-inch monitors, and this monitor is 32-inch. But I guess it's because this monitor is big, heavy, and chunky with thick bezels, kind of antiquated in terms of like its sleekness. So as a result, the monitor arm is really struggling to hold it up and support it. It's not like it's going to drop suddenly and fail on me, but it's very hard to do adjustments or fine adjustments with this monitor arm with this 32-inch monitor on there, because this 32 monitor is one of the heavier ones. So if you're planning to use this monitor, the arm that EverDesk does sell, only plan to use a monitor that's smaller than 32 inches, or if you want to use a 32-inch monitor, make sure it's a thin bezel, like a lightweight, sleek monitor, like those kind of modern, sleek monitors rather than this kind of big, chunky, more old design style that is going to be a bit more heavy, because it does struggle a bit with 32-inch monitors, unfortunately. So stick to 27, I think that's a sweet spot for monitors nowadays anyway. And hopefully one day EverDesk releases a more beefy monitor arm that can support either an ultra-wide display or like a big 3x2 display like the Huawei MateView, even though that does not support VESA mounting. Oh yeah, and the monitor arm of course is VESA. And you can also have a adapter mounted that allows you to mount a laptop instead of. Now back to the chair, because I have a few criticisms about the chair as well. I'm going to start off with the overall like fit and finish in terms of the plastics that you do touch. So the plastics that you do touch on this chair the most are going to be the armrest, which is perfectly comfortable and perfectly well built, but the neck band, while it's very adjustable and very good, isn't very particularly rigid. Like this neck adjustment here, it's a bit plasticky to touch and feels a bit loose at times. I think for a future model, ERGOTUNE can adjust it. It's not a deal breaker, far from it, but I think the build quality of this does not inspire as much confidence as the rest of the chair, which is unfortunate because most of the chair is executed quite well. Overall though, my general experience with this table and this chair has been pretty good. Apart from a few issues here and there, none of which are really deal breakers, it's been ergonomic, comfortable, and definitely an enjoyable experience using the desk and the chair. All that does come at a cost, however. This chair does cost close to $600, and this table with all the accessories that they sent me, which is a lot of accessories, adds up to more than $1,000. But a good thing about ERGOTUNE and EverDesk is that you can customize it to how you want it. So if you don't want some of the accessories, you don't have to buy it. If you don't want this, you can switch it out. If you want a smaller table, you can switch it out. If you want a lower end table, you can also get that as well and save a couple of bucks here and there. The chair as well has a lower end model with slightly less adjustability. So if you think that there's adjustability here that you really don't see yourself carrying or using at all, you can swap to the lower end model and the smaller models as well. So I like the adjustability, and while it is pricey in this highest end config, you can definitely get it down to a more reasonable price. If you are the kind of person who's always sitting at a desk, always doing work from home stuff, it might be a worth it purchase, because ergonomics, comfort, and posture are very important things to maintain in your life. Oh, and by the way, if you really want me to talk about my desktop video editing setup, or the whole video room tour, video production room tour, make sure you tell me in the comments, and tell me by hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button. If you guys support this video enough, or tell me about that enough, and tell me you want it, I'll make that video. If not, I will make a video that no one wants to watch.